The Battle of Bougainville, in November of 1943, was the centerpiece of the Allied forces' assault up the Solomon Island chain as part of Operation Cartwheel. Admiral Halsey wanted to land a significant force on a nearby uninhabited part of the island in an attempt to cut an airfield out of the jungle to provide a launching platform for fighter aircraft to assist in a bombing raid on the dreaded Japanese airbase at Rabaul. Taking out Rabaul was mission critical for combat in the Pacific theater, as it provided the Japanese an unsinkable aircraft launching pad against Allied forces in their island assault. The Allied intelligence estimated Japanese troop strength on the island at approximately 27,000 fighters, with a Japanese naval base located in the south of the island and a Japanese airfield in the north. At 7:10 on November 1st, the assault forces of the 3rd Marine Raider Division landed at Cape Torokina under the aerial umbrella of Marine fighters that strafed the beach with aircraft, as well as New Zealand P-40s and Army P-38s, which provided top cover to the assault troops and simultaneously attacked the airfield at Khalil nearby. Choosing to land in a remote part of the island, Admiral Halsey had picked Cape Torokina and Empress Augusta Bay for his landing assault in order to encounter light Japanese resistance and cut off the larger forces on the island. The plan was to cut through the jungle and build an airfield before the Japanese could mount a force large enough to counterattack. There, the Marines would encounter few well-established point defenses, but not the broad defenses that they had encountered previously in battles such as Guadalcanal. This would hopefully buy them the time needed to establish a rudimentary airfield. The amount of Liberty ships that lined the beach that morning was one of the first uses of this strategy, which gave us a distinct advantage to load the ships half full and cycle them quickly, using motion to represent defense. Past offloads, such as Guadalcanal, took days or even weeks to accomplish. This tactic was an important advancement in the theater. At 7:10, the assault forces hit the shore, and by 7:30, a mere 20 minutes later, some 7,500 Marines were ashore and began cutting into the sparse but fortified Japanese point defenses. As the 3rd Marine Raiders were landing, they took significant fire from pillboxes on the cape itself. A 75mm gun was enfilading the beach, putting down artillery fire on the landing craft. One lone 75mm gun was credited with sinking 4 landing craft and hitting 10 others, producing 70 casualties within 20 minutes. The gun was well placed and well protected in a coconut log bunker with sand piled on top, and had its approaches protected by 2 other bunkers that housed machine guns. The 75mm gun was positioned in such a way that it could only be assaulted from the front, which would thereby expose the attacker to vicious fire. 3rd Marine Raider Sergeant Robert Allen Owens realized that the situation was dire and decided to take it upon himself to do something about it. He grabbed 4 other Marine Raiders and instructed them to place fire on the supporting machine gun bunkers that protected the 75mm placement. Once the sides were suppressed, he got up and ran directly into the line of fire of the 75mm gun, charging through the firing port of the bunker and surprising the Japanese fire team inside. Using his rifle, he killed 3 Japanese soldiers inside the bunker and chased the others out the back, he gave quick pursuit and paused to fire, killing another 2 Japanese soldiers who ran out the back, while his supporting riflemen cleaned up the rest. Unfortunately, his pause to fire left him vulnerable to the nearby Japanese machine guns, which opened fire on him and shot him dead. His act deprived the Japanese of the 75mm artillery gun, which still had over 150 rounds stacked nearby. Marine General Alan Turnage was so impressed by this act of bravery that Owens was nominated and received the Medal of Honor for this courageous and selfless act. The 3rd Marine Raiders pressed on, mopping up the rest of the small Japanese defenses around Empress Augusta Bay, giving a clear path to the rest of the landing CB construction and marine logistics forces to carry on work constructing the airfield that would allow the Allied forces to silence the violent air attack force north of the island, the dreaded Rabaul. Major General Earl Cecil Long was on the beach that day. Born November 4th, 1883, General Long had served in World War I and was promoted to the rank of captain while in France. Upon returning from the war, he began work as a quartermaster of the U.S. Marine Corps base in Quantico. It was there that the 3rd Marine Brigade was formed, under Brigadier General Smedley Butler, and he sailed with General Butler to China on May 1927, where he participated in the defense of the Shanghai International Settlement. That day on Bougainville, Major General Long would have been 60 years old and provided logistical experience to the younger fighting forces, important undertaking to form this critical airfield, which would provide the Allied forces with the foothold they needed as part of the Operation Cartwheel, the Allied grand strategy in the South Pacific. The achievement of an airfield on the island of Bougainville enabled the Allied forces to bomb the Japanese airbase at Rabaul, which later prevented the Japanese aircraft from intervening against the U.S. landings in the Gilbert and Marshall Islands, saving untold thousands of lives of Allied forces. The intrepid actions of General Long and his logistical success in the Battle of Bougainville makes him one of the many unsung heroes of the United States Marine Corps in both World War I and World War II. The production power of the United States shipyards, the courage and bravery of the Marine Raider grunts, and the logistical genius of General Long would be nearly impossible for America to accomplish in 2023. This was recently noted in a comment by U.S. Navy Captain Bill Toti on the Unauthorized History of the Pacific War podcast, episode 219.
It shows you how far that the Allies have progressed in this war to this point, right, Bill?
Yeah, there's a lot of capability that we've developed with the CBs, with the Army engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers, and combat engineers and things like that over the course of these last year and a half. And so that became this, and our logistics capability, and we're going to talk about the number of ships in a moment that are used to conduct the invasion. But this is just, again, it boggles the mind. It's something that something that we could not do today in 2023. This is a big issue, right? And one of those lessons, I keep pulling lessons out from my article titled, that I published a few months ago, titled, "Who's the Sleeping Giant Now?" where I argue that all the advantages we had during this phase of World War II are, are Chinese advantages today, which is a big problem. Could we hack airfields out of jungle islands today to operate F-35s out of? Could we muster up the same number of ships we're going to muster up to land this invasion force today? And the sad answer, I'm worried, is no. And so this is why it's so important to study this stuff, Seth. This is not hypothetical, theoretical, interesting from an academic sense, but useless information. This is absolutely critical to enable future operations. And that's the way I'm hoping our viewers and listeners look at it.
Today, as I am recording this, it is November 4th, 2023, and it is Major General Long's birthday. So raise a glass to this unsung hero of World War II, the logistical genius who at 60 years old went to war and shared his experience with younger officers and staff to pull off something almost 100 years ago on this very day. He celebrated his birthday during the Battle of Bougainville, something which the modern U.S. forces could not likely replicate. I always tell people, it's not hard to change the world. General Long did it in his 60th year. My grandfather was in supply in Korea, and he passed me down his collection of antiques and artifacts he collected. Today, in commemoration of General Long's birthday, I would like to show you his field desk, which he took with him to the Pacific and set up somewhere in the jungle or on a support ship, his small command center where he changed the world. Let's open up a tin, shall we?
Home, but there's a feeling in my bones, like a part of me don't know what home is anymore. And all these lines keep me frozen in time, while the ones I love keep moving down the line. Sometimes I wanna be on my own, but I don't wanna die alone. If it weren't for your love, then I'd be gone by the morning. Ooh, hold on, honey. Ooh, someday's gonna be one day soon. Promised hope, but I've heard all that before. And all the blood I poured won't be your free ride back to shore. I've been thinking that we all want a taste of fame, but lately all I hope is that my kid's proud of his name. Sometimes I wanna be on my own, but I don't wanna die alone. If it weren't for your love, then I'd be gone by the morning. Hold on, honey. Someday's gonna be one day soon.
Rattray's 3 noggins full. I don't know if there's a difference between the full or the regular or what, but it's Cavendish, Latakia, Oriental, and Virginia in a ribbon cut. It's really rich, and that Rattray's Cavendish gives it a very sweet and unique flavor. Not really like a goopy Captain Black topped blend, but that light English style.
Hold on, honey. Someday gonna be one day soon.
Well, if you're gonna do a World War II video, might as well use a World War II era Cecini, right? Here's a Cecini Army Mount Billiard 8-dot. You'll never find one of these. GLP's doesn't even have one. The marking has been buffed down a little bit here. This is the Cecini Army Mount, so that silver band is not a repair, it's the actual Army Mount pipe. These are incredibly rare. I know people that have collected Cecinis for decades that don't have a single Army Mount. I've got 3, but you know how it is. I recently picked up a book on Leonardo da Vinci's artwork. It's got a lot of secrets hidden in those drawings. I also recently finished Twin Peaks: The Return. Man, that's an incredible series. I love that part where Gordon Cole is talking about his dream. Now here's a 1945 ashtray too. Why not keep it World War II era, right? Anyway, Gordon Cole's talking about that Monica Bellucci dream. I mean, Monica Bellucci, oh yeah. You know what I mean? But he sits down with her at that cafe, and she says the ancient phrase, "We are like the dreamer who dreams a dream and then lives inside of it." But who is the dreamer? I recently made this, got some books in here. Been reading this book, The High History of the Holy Grail. Inside it talks about the knight Percival. Sometimes, you can't help but feel like Percival, right? The fool that goes around having his adventure, not realizing whom the Grail serves. It's got some really beautiful artwork in there anyway. One thing that I thought was kind of poignant was the part where it talks about how King Arthur, how his court had turned evil. It wasn't that the king had become bad or anything. It was just that he was lazy, sitting around on his behind, eating a bunch of food, getting fat, and not going out on an adventure. A lot of people are talking about how World War III is about to start. Maybe that's why I've got General Long's World War II desk. Maybe that's supposed to send some kind of signal, I don't know. But, I've been getting in shape lately. Went out to the shooting range today with a couple of fellas, squeezing off some 5.56. Man, those 5.56 rifles, they're buttery. You know, it got me to thinking about King Arthur. You know, a lot of people are saying how all these woke kids are going to get drafted, and they're laughing, oh, look at all these kids are going to get drafted. I got bad news for you. You know, I'm looking at pictures of soldiers from the Russian-Ukraine war. There's a lot of these soldiers that are out there on the front lines taking artillery shells to the dome that are in their 60s. You in your 60s? Better get ready for war, my friend. What are you doing around anyway? Sitting on your butt? Eating food in your little King Arthur's court? You know, better start doing some push-ups, huh? Everybody thinks the woke kids are going to get drafted. You think they're going to draft Mr. Fat Boy TikTok star here? Yeah, I mean, he's not even going to qualify. No, my friend. They're coming for you. Look, I'm gonna tell you straight up, this blend is so good, I had to load up another pipe. I'm really enjoying it. It's dark, it's rich. Yeah, it's got all that woody, fruity, tooty, you know how it is. I like it. You'll probably like it too if you like English blends. What do you want me to say? It's really amazing. It's usually not in stock, so if you can find some, good luck. Otherwise, I'll see you out there on the front line, my friend. Dig a nice hole for me, and maybe we'll share a bit of 3 noggins full together. All right, take it easy, everybody. God bless.
And there's a famous line here that I want to say it so bad, but I
do it.
So a Japanese searchlight, boom, switches on in the middle of this inky blackness.
Yes.
Probably they, I've read, and you may correct me on this, but I believe it was from Hiei because it was very high.
Yes.
It was way up there. Pierces the night, focuses directly on USS Helena.
Yep.
Just ahead, another searchlight pops on, probably from Akatsuki, Japanese destroyer, focuses directly on USS Atlanta. Aboard Atlanta, Captain Jenkins, the captain of the USS Atlanta, gave the pre-war order to, quote, counter-illuminate. His gunnery officer, who was a younger gentleman by the name of Lieutenant Commander William Nickerson, hears this, counter-illuminate, hears this, and shouts into his headphone, quote, F that, open fire.
Exactly.
One of the most eloquent quotes of this entire campaign.
Absolutely.
Counter illuminate my ass.
I can see the targets here. Yeah, we know what to do.